When I tell you that this has to be one of the best movies I have ever seen, I'm upset with myself that it took me this long to watch it. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss Apocalypto. Now this movie is from 2006 and it stars Rudy Youngblood. Now before we get into the best thing Mel Gibson has ever done, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, then we're going to come back and discuss. When I tell you I needed Middle Eye to die immediately, like you know a movie is good when they can make you have such disdain for a character as soon as they appear on the screen. Gonna rename me Almost. Almost? Yeah. Nigga, you thought.
Go back.
Now that you guys have hopefully subscribed to see more of me, let's get into this movie. But before we jump into the film, I have to give a shout out to the person who paid for and requested this movie. So if you happen to escape from some Mayan captives and run all the way across America to get back to your wife and children, it's not because of me, it's because of this person right here. Thank you so much for supporting me and paying for this content. Now, getting into this movie, with it being a first time watch for me, imagine the pure shock when those credits rolled and I saw directed by Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson, like not only directed by Mel Gibson, but co-produced and written by Mel Gibson. When I think about him, I think about several things. He's always in a movie yelling. He's always willing to push boundaries within a scene, and he has had a phenomenal acting career. Has been in countless movies from The Maverick, Payback, Signs, Chicken Run, The Patriot, Lethal Weapon, and my favorite franchise, Mad Max. Growing up as a 90s kid, you literally saw him everywhere all the time. And then we get into the later 2000s and you think about his downfall. The problematic behavior, the constant DUIs, the constant drinking, the racist comments towards the Jewish community, as well as the problematic behavior towards his own wife. Leading me to think, oh wow, not the guy from Mad Max and Braveheart, instead of not the man who directed Braveheart. I never really considered his flawless transition into writing films and directing films a backseat to things like The Passion of the Christ, shifting space and time when it was released. From what I can remember, it was all anybody was talking about. And above all else, it was once again directed, produced, and written all by Mel Gibson. An absolutely independent film of any studios, released all off of Mel's back. I'm going to do this my way without any studio interference, so I'm going to fund it out of my own pocket. Absolutely loved it, and I know that this was key and why I loved Apocalypto so much. Such a prime example of what I feel like is ultimately wrong with Hollywood, Marvel, and universes and blockbusters now. Even in those early 2000s, Mel Gibson knew to do things my way, I need to fund my own film and have full autonomy over it. This movie is an amazing masterpiece of early Mayan civilization. From a peaceful, traditional hunters-gatherers tribe in this humble village to some ruthless Mayan, a little bit of Aztec, empire full of brutality, greed, sacrifice, and have-nots. Cinematically outstanding, great sound design, great costume design, rich in its characters as well as its plot, just absolutely exhilarating from start to finish. However, though I am not the sharpest crayon in the box, I knew watching this movie that it was probably not historically accurate. The mixing of the Mayan and Aztec cultures, and most notably the enslavement, along with ritualistic sacrifices being done in mass. Child, even the way they were executing it, it was a lot. It was a whole lot. You know, no mentions of their achievements as a people and how brilliant they were, even getting into mathematical and scientific things that we still use till this day. Just the brutal, damn near barbaric people in need of saving from themselves. In comes the Spaniards, the conquest, and the boat to the rescue. Kind of sending that message of, you know, hey, look at what they were doing to each other. Was it really that bad that they pulled up on the boat? It was. It absolutely was. Though this movie is mixing and matching all these different cultures and timelines, pulling from here and there to heighten the effects in certain scenarios in the movie, many people decide not to sing this movie's praises just for those reasons along amongst others. I, however, run Jaguar Paw like he was up here. Let's get into it. Now, from the very beginning, I love the rawness and this richness, this realism that we get from this film. Meeting son Jaguar Paw, Father Flint Sky in the middle of this jungle with this tribe, it feels and looks really organic to the point that you're watching National Geographic and it's not a film. With these Mesoamerican tribesmen and women alike speaking the Mayan language. So often now in movies they insult our intelligence and our attention spans by having a film full of indigenous people, especially in ancient settings, speaking English. We have a cast of actors here from actual indigenous descent. They look the part, the costuming is impeccable, the scarification, the makeup, the tribal markings, the septum piercings. There is such an attention to detail here. I so much enjoyed the storyline here and the intensity that we were able to squeeze in such a simplistic script. You could even follow this movie if it did not have any subtitles in sight. You see and feel the unity within this tribe, the happiness of them simply hunting together, playing pranks on one another, and you also feel that shift in Jaguar Paw, who knows that if a tribe is passing through, they're in fear, they're running, they're ravished, we could ultimately be next. Now, beforehand, I have no problem saying that I did not understand Flint Sky's need to just, move forward. Let the tribe pass. Do not inquire about anything. Stand firm in who we are and let's not fall into any fear. Once we're infected by fear, we are already dead. I wanted so badly for them to be on guard to save their people, their liberties and their rights to do what they feel like they are born and bred to do on this earth. Provide, hunt, procreate, and leave their families' impacts and traditions on this forest that they love so much, think they know better than anybody, and knowing that it provides everything they need. Minimalistic living, everyone is equal. There are clearly elders, but there is no real chain of command, which is why we can so easily allow some downtrodden tribe that we don't know pass in exchange for a little humility, a little fish, that little respectful gesture that they have in the middle of the jungle, that little exchange of meats just shows that I respect you. I'm not a threat, and more than anything, there is more than enough to go around. I'm willing to exchange this fish. We are in the forest. It is full of resources. There is no need to fight over anything. Now, also, I was not expecting the amount of comedy that we got in the beginning of this film via Blunted, who is big and broken and can't seem to impregnate his wife. To his mother-in-law's dismay, I watch enough movies to know them presenting Blunted to us as kind of, the laughing stock, a little bit of the village idiot. I was like, don't do him. Do not do my man Blunted. With his size, I knew he was going to come through when we needed him. I just loved his energy right off the bat. Even though the thang might not have been thanging, how we know it wasn't your daughter, but I knew that he was strong in other ways and he was going to come through in a clutch. I also really enjoyed the storytelling scene. I thought it was shot so beautifully. Like everything else in this movie, this scene where we have this elder prophesizing what's to come, to focus on embracing what we have here together, foreshadowing Jaguar Paw's journey later. The men who are on their way to tear down what we have because they're hungry and they're never satisfied. There's no long drawn out expositions. We just fall into the people, the love that they have for each other, the beauty in this tribe, this fulfillment that they get in just being with each other. There is truly something peaceful about observing an indigenous group of people just simply being who they are in their element without any outside influences or interruptions. Now, as soon as I saw Zero Wolf and Middle Eye, I needed them to die immediately. It was shot so well. You know that they mean business. The menacingness was coming all off of the screen. Those outfits, the skulls, it was giving Predator. The first one with Arnold, you knew that they did not come in peace, and they came to rip everything that this tribe stood for to shreds. Watching this for the first time, I assumed that the white man from town, shout out to Thinner, I just knew that it was going to be some white man from town that would be the initial invaders, the raiders who seek to conquer, consume, use, destroy for personal gain. No, it was other Mayan people. They pillage, they kill, they assault, they capture with this happy gleefulness, just absolutely evil. It's sadistic, it's brutal, it's violent, it's bloody, it's disgusting, but it's also captivating and beautiful to watch, especially when we get into someone like Jaguar Paw, who kind of sort of felt this coming and feels the need and the urgency to fight and hide his family, lowering his family into that well to save them, only to return to death and being outnumbered. Great acting, just great acting. Like, oh my God, targeted by an enraged Middle Eye off the jump. Like, he like zeroed in. Like, I know, Jay, I feel the energy coming up off of you that I need to take you down a peg. Not only because he's evil, he's maybe getting off on it. Jaguar possesses something that he doesn't have, as well as everybody else a part of his tribe. Getting into the tribe that Jaguar is coming from, there is so much pride and strength. The right pride, not the wrong one. Pride within your family, within your people, within your resources. So much strength in their traditions, what Flint Sky has passed down to his son, that bond that they have with the forest, to know that what's meant for me, what's meant for us will always be there. We have an imprint here that will go on forever to be passed down generations after generations. So why would I ever live in fear of anything else walking here? But damn, as soon we have so much other chaos that I'm not going to speak on going on, but as soon as Jaguar, leave for kicking ass and try to go help his father, and they got him hemmed up, and he goes, "Sorry, father." What you go and say that for? Like, you already looking at that well nonstop, got them putting their eyeballs on the well, then you go off and say, "Sorry, father." Middle Eye, with his messy ass, goes and takes him out urgently just for that reason. Let me take you down a peg by taking away what I feel like you love the most, and the only thing you maybe have, because I have not seen your family in that well. I'm going to kill your father right in front of you and rename you Almost. Oh, you want to get fucked up. You want to get fucked up. Seeing their village get broken down into nothing, seeing all the death, seeing all the women, like, after they are tied up and you have, both of those tribes now that have been ravished come back together and get laid off into Timbuktu, and you have a little girl who is all of like 10 collect all of the children and yell to the mother, "Don't worry, I'll take care of them. They're my kids now." I freaking died. I was so freaking emotional because it was very reminiscent of things that we've seen and heard about before. We keep seeing these things repeat throughout history. The only hope and leverage that we have at that very moment is knowing that Jaguar Paw has to and is going to somehow make it back to his family. I even love getting into the foundation of something like Middle Eye and Zero Wolf. They were so broken before we ever met them. They have no real foundation as a people, so there is so much dysfunction even outside of the cactus. We have Middle Eye want to have control, dominance, power, really low-key want that position that Zero Wolf has. But since he doesn't, he rather display his dominance in other ways. It's not enough just to capture slaves. I prefer to instill fear, tease them, torture them, even after they are completely defenseless. Zero Wolf, on the other hand, could care less. I'm not really here to instill fear. I'd rather play my role and be my best in my field, in my position, and influence my son. I want to appease the gods, and I want to show that I am the leader, the alpha male, the man, the apex predator. But as soon as that is challenged and he may not look that way to his team, then he starts to show out. Now, though the scenery was absolutely beautiful, you cannot understate the lack of CGI in this movie. Just gorgeous. But we walk all the way to the ends of the freaking earth. But during this journey, you really notice these significant differences between both of their beliefs, their values, their agendas, what Flint Sky was teaching his son versus what Zero Wolf is trying to instill in his. The closer and closer we get to the city, you see practically no trees. The Mayans here are no longer satisfied with, living off the land, taking as needed, being a little thoughtful and minded of the resources. No, we are greedy, would rather conquer, enslave our own people to build tall buildings from limestone. To the point that every river has run dry, there is no water, poor people, the elders are not, respected and revered. You are thrown out to the pasture and considered useless when you can no longer work. Instead of the wealthy taking a look within, who were draped up and dripped out in jade, the jewelry, their teeth, feathers, just pure excess. But instead of blaming themselves for what the city has become, for what the people have become, we believe that a sacrifice of what looks to be over 100 men will appease the gods of nature and they will provide for them. Like, such arrogance, ignorance, pride, greed, it was running rampant all through the city. But once again, it was exquisite to look at. Everybody looked immaculate. Like, what? No CGI people in the crowd? Like, no, we got thousands of people and no, I need 1,000 people out here dressed to the nine in their garments. It was just, oh my God, it was perfection. I loved it. King and the queen could have ultimately got the hell out of my face, but they looked good while they were doing it. Everyone just ultimately needed to be humbled at that moment. I love the little detail of the little girl who is alone and she looks to have a case of smallpox and they are just, oh, just get away. It's just like, no, I am prophesizing what's going to happen. Would you like to know how you are going to die? Whereas we have someone like Jaguar Paw take heed of, those traditions and listen to someone who is given the gift of vision, take it serious. We have our little gang here who absolutely stands for nothing. That's why they all fall so quickly, not listen. I was just patiently waiting to see what was going to happen. Are they going to be all enslaved together? Is it going to be an uprising? When and what moment are they going to escape and Jaguar can get back to his people and his family, regroup, retaliate? Nah, son, it's a whole lot of them. It's a whole lot of them. Not only are they not being enslaved, but they are being covered in blue and being sacrificed. I didn't know what was gonna happen. Shout out to the mama for holding it down in that well as long as she did. Like that resiliency, like her doing the ant stitches on the cutest little boy I've ever seen, his little leg. Like it was just beautiful the way that she was persevering and knowing and hoping that her husband was going to come back to her. She was holding it down, P.O.P. back into them being sacrificed. Like I already had the little, tug at the heartstring moment when Mama, who was complaining about Bunty, they tried to sell her and nobody wanted her. She was too old, like considered, useless. We had already saw the trauma that he went through with his woman. Just all of the men have so much taken away from them. So as they are being lined up and just taken apart, I was like, oh, come on, Debo, stall him out. Let him go. What is going to happen? Once they got to Jaguar, I was sweating because I didn't know where the movie was going. But in that moment, you see him kind of step into the light and realize who he is. What's meant for me will always be for me. I finally understood what my father was saying. Don't be afraid, son. And of course, he goes and lays down. And child, the way they were rolling, they just did not care. I collect your freaking head. It was a Tuesday. I was annoyed that it was just simply a freaking Tuesday. But once that eclipse happened, everything's good. I was like, what? Just so simple in their urgency and needs to take a life and sacrifice just to gain what they feel like they ultimately need. Now we get into my favorite scene. Hey, if you can run and you make it past that cornfield, we'll let you go. Lies. They had no intentions of letting anybody go or anybody pass him, because if you do, that's a challenge to our natures to be, the predators, to be the top. We are, the mass. We killing everything moving. How dare you try to live and go back to your kid and your wife? After we see people killed one by one, bodies were dropping like it was a nothing. I was waiting, when Blunted was like, run. I was like, Blunted, please, just... Blunted didn't make it. Blunted did not make it. Once Jaguar and little homie ran out there and they hit the pew, 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 I'm strategizing. I'm not trying to get hit. I have a mission and a purpose that I need to get back to. Once he sent his weak ass son out there, I knew we stood a chance. No one stood a real chance of taking him down that easily, because Jaguar was a different kind of breed. 1-0 Wolf came out there and tried to do his little splat cat cow. I was like, all right, it's all right, because something is about to happen. Something is about to happen, and it did. Blunted came through with the safety. When I tell you I yelled, I cackled with cheer, because I just wanted so badly for him to get back to his freaking woman, his son, and that baby in her stomach. His perseverance through that freaking jungle, getting back to what took forever. It took forever for them to walk to get to the city. Getting back to that literally overnight is no easy feat. Once they realize who he is and they go after him, and that chase part of the movie really happens, it gets so good. This movie is non-stop, just adrenaline from start to finish. Not even that, the chase is awesome, the visuals are awesome, but Jaguar is just so awesome. Still kind of running with that fear. Though he had, that vision in the eclipse, I realized who I am, what I am, and he has kind of this telepathic thing happening with his wife. Really beautiful moment, but we are still running in fear and not trusting who we are and who we have always been to this forest. When the panther popped out, that scene, it was breathtaking, y'all. It was just so amazing to look at. And it's just like he met who he was face to face and remembered who he was. I have not felt that sensation with a movie other than like the last time I watched The Matrix. You know, in The Matrix, once Neo steps into who he is and realizes, you know, who I am, I'm the one, I have nothing to fear. At Mr. Anderson, like, no, let me hit you with this pew pew real quick. I have absolutely nothing to fear. I am not only one with this force, but I'm going to use every single resource to take yours down. By the time he's dressed in all black like the Omen, ow, had your friends singing, this is for my homies. By the time we make that leap, like once he jumped that long ass waterfall and he survived, it was just like, I am stronger than you will ever be. All of these idiots following suit, following Zero Wolf, who just felt challenged right off the back, plunging to their own deaths, not having any real loyalty to each other, not giving a damn. I love how you have someone like Middle Eye trying to ravage through a fallen fellow warrior's things. Like, oh no, give me that. He would have wanted me to have it. We don't care about each other. We don't stand for anything, so we fall immediately. Even when we get into, you know, some of the crew feeling like, you know what? We might not need to chase him. This is, you know, probably a bad idea. This is the Omen. We should stop. Literally no sense of loyalty, family, tradition, so willing to easily kill our own just for not standing in the fuckery that we want to do. I want to chase him. I'm not going to stop chasing him because that proves who I am as Zero Wolf. He's a challenge to me, which disrupts everything I stand for. By the time we kill the indigenous sacred panther, I knew that there was no hope left for any of them. When Jaguar stepped into who he was after his high-minded speech, used all of those resources to kill them, like, it was just so good. And then when the rain started, I was like, damn. Once the rain started and you knew that that well was going to fill up and he was just going, gorgeous. And then you get into that showdown with Middle Eye. Oh, it was juicy. It was juicy. We love a good blood splatter. It was so juicy to just see them get their comeuppance, even when we're getting into Zero Wolf and we have him use that same trap that we had them use in the beginning on him, still relying on those resources. I know this forest better than any of you ever could. You tried it. Almost my ass. Slipping back into that intensity of his wife in that well, giving birth, the water birth, like it was just a combination of goodness. Feeling even better once he finally pulls them out. Like mama was standing on her tippy toes, like, can you hurry up? Even getting down to the ending and that ultimate tee-hee-hee, them being stopped in their tracks because wow, it's a bold, we have never seen anything like this. Oh, it was giving Diary of a Mad Black Woman. You know, you tried to keep it from me and she took it all. She packed some of her things in yours and she left. Like, yeah, you were trying to keep this for yourself and the greed and, you know, the enslavement. Somebody has showed up to kill and debt all of that. I love that we have Jaguar. You know, hey, oh my God, do you see, like, should we go to them? Absolutely not. We should not. No, let's stay here on our own quest, our own people, own land. They can have it. This movie was amazing. Well, you guys, that was my review for Apocalypto. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop down and tell me if you did. I had such a good time watching this film. I enjoyed reviewing this film, and I need to read them comments. Like, get into something. You know, I'm gonna leave something out. It was a whole lot going on here and a whole lot to touch on. I look forward to reading everything. I see you guys next time for my next review. Bye.
Commissioner!